Okay, so in the interest of, what the hell, we're going to try to varnish our extra motor winding here. This is the Holmes motor that we might throw into the beat up Super Electric. This motor has gotten worse. I tried to run it a second time. It was all stuck up again, so kind of a disaster on that thing. But one of the things we wanted to try to do, because we have some vintage fans, as you can see, with some vintage motors that probably could use revarnishing or varnishing in the first place. I bought this little red insulation varnish thing, and it's not a lot of the stuff. It was like $7 or $9, I forget how much. But hopefully it's still good. It's been in that bottle for a while. I bought it before the winter. So we're going to see if we can get some. I wasn't sure how to deal with this. I didn't want to do it while it was in the motor housing, and I don't really have the ability to build a stand. So I started looking around the house for something big enough that this would sit on it, and this is what I found. So that should be enough to be able to, put some varnish on, see how we do. I've never done this before. I've never seen it done. I'm going to put varnish on the wound, and I'm going to try to varnish also the connectors. It goes from one to the other here, as you can see. So not sure. It's not completely dust free. The videos I've seen of this, they've gone out of their way to heavily clean everything. I'm not really going to go crazy on this. I'm just going to, let's see if this varnish is any good. And in the interest of any noxious fumes, we've got the Marvin in the window. I put it in, there's a little room here, so you can flip it so that it's pulling air out that way. As you can see, normally you can, this isn't reversible, so you have to flip it the other way. Alright, so here goes nothing. It reminds me of model paint, the smell of it. So I'm just painting it on here and trying not to get it on anything other than the windings. Looks like this is going to take a few minutes. I'm just dripping through. So what do you want with this? If you were doing this, would you want it to soak through? Are you trying to get it deep in, or is this just an outside coating on the outside of the windings? So obviously you got wires go all the way through. So what are you trying to do exactly? And it'll soak in a little bit. It says on the instructions that you can dip parts directly into this stuff. Obviously, in this situation, we can't dip the whole thing in. So we'll see. I'm not really sure what the expectation is. At that point you could just pour the stuff onto the thing if you were sure it was going to go through and not stay. Some people do a heat light to dry this stuff. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to wait and see if it dries by itself. I'm not in any hurry, so I don't have to do that in any way. You think the idea is you use the heat first to dry any moisture out, but this hasn't been cleaned. I just dusted this out when the motor was taken out of the fan, but that's all that ever happened to this. So that's one side. Let's see if we can flip it over and do the other side. Okay, and it did drip over a little bit to the other side. I'm going to even those out. Okay, And we're just going to do the other side now, too. Why not? Now you want to be super gentle with the windings, and we already know that. So I'm not brushing with any kind of force. Luckily this little bristle thing is brand new. This is going to have to be thrown out. I'm going to have to come get some thinner. If you were to do this more than once, obviously you'd want to be able to clean these brushes and reuse them. I suppose you could also use a acid brush like you'd get at a hardware store, I suppose. Great videos by David the His Way. He uses a spray varnish, and he uses a brake cleaner, non-sulfur, whatever. He's very clear about how to use it and what to use. He's very good at all that stuff. This is just an amateur experiment, so we're not going too crazy. You know, he's doing restorations for customers, and that's a whole different kind of work, really. We're just going to see if this works, and if we did a good enough job to keep the paint off of the internal surface where where the motor spins in there. You need air on either side. So you don't want to... In fact, that Mr. His Way, he was saying that... he was showing that sometimes you have to use you have to go in and remove any extra varnish. You know, he's spraying so the varnish is getting everywhere. And you've got to go in with a cutter, you know, a razor blade, to get it out so that the rotor will spin in there. I don't expect to have that problem with this. So we got a little drip over here, but it looks like we did okay. I don't have any way to clean that brush, so that brush is going to be a loss. But it seems to have worked okay. We're going to let it sit for a couple days, and we'll come back to it and see how it dried up. And thanks for watching. Well, you can see what it looks like with the varnish on it. I went around and tried to do the overlap wires that go in between, as you can see. Didn't go crazy with over soaking. I don't know if you're really supposed to soak through or if you're just trying to protect the outside wires. So I was able to keep it outside so that it didn't go in to the internal where the rotor spins. So we shouldn't have to clean it up too much once it's dry. So we're going to wait and see if it dries. We got a nice dry day tomorrow, so hopefully that'll happen. And we'll see how we do. So if you have any thoughts about this process, anything you think I did wrong or should do differently, definitely interested in knowing. Let me know what you think, if you've ever done this, how you did it. Again, some people clean all the oil and dust off with a spray and then dry it, and then you know, David the His Way, A1.net, he's using a bench supply to warm everything up. I'm not really comfortable doing that at this point. I'm just an amateur at all this stuff. So this is where we're at. So let me know what you think, and that's the varnish. It smells like airplane model paint, what it reminds me of. There you go. Thanks for watching.